Welcome to the third CForms for Joomla tutorial. In this tutorial we will cover the available form fields and the creation of a responsive multi-page form. Let's start by navigating to CForms Forms and create a new form there. As always, you see an empty form, and we start by giving the form a valid name. Let's call it responsive multi-page form. We keep the default form type and switch to elements. In here you can see all available form fields. They are currently divided into 4 categories: basic, HTML5, spacer and advanced. Let's start with the basic form fields. We already have seen the default text field. It's the most common one. You see it has multiple properties. It has a label, it has a nice placeholder, which you could also use instead of the label. You can give it a default value. When you have a default value, this overlays the placeholder. Just as a normal placeholder, when the user starts typing, the placeholder disappears. You can set the field to required, and we can add a tooltip here. For the text input field you also can set the ordering, the page and the size. We also have advanced properties like CSS classes, CSS styles, where we could change the background color of the element, for example. Let's create a new text area field. Text area field is a multi-line input field. You can set how many rows it should have, like 46, that's a bit much, like 7. And as a text input field, it has a default value, it has a placeholder, you can set it required, it has the same size, properties and everything else. You don't need to use the ordering to change it. You can also just drag and drop the field up or down. For deleting, you can just go and delete field and or duplicate it with this button. You also can use select fields. Select fields have another column here, another row here, options row. Something like please select. The right one is the text, the left one is the value. If you want the user to fill out or to choose a value, just keep the first one empty and add other options here. And as long as the user doesn't select one of the options with a value, the field will not be valid. As you can see here, the form validation is already active in the preview form, and it's, as you can see, not valid as long as you don't choose an option. As every other field, it has also sizes, positions, and you can also add advanced styles or other classes. Then we have radio buttons. Radio buttons are in the style of Joomla. Let's say we have 2 buttons. Let's make it a yes/no button. The left one is the value saved in the database and sent to the server, and the right one is the text. And you can also set which one should be checked. And as you can see, this one is selected now. Then we have checkboxes. Normal checkboxes like I agree to the terms and conditions. And we also have password input fields. The default value is already, as you can see, hidden from the user. These are the basic form fields we have in CForms, the basic HTML fields. but there are other fields too. For that, let us create a new page. So we go on new page, and as you can see, we switch now to page 2. Let's take a look at the HTML5 fields here. Let's start with the number field. The number field can only contain a number, and you can set the minimum and the maximum number here. For example, we say that our field can only contain numbers between 0 and 100, and they have to be in an interval of 2. This means the user has to input a number between 0, 2, 4, 6, etc. until 100. You also can add validations here. In this case, the numeric validation is automatically added when you set it to required. Then we have the date input field. We can look at that in the front end later. It also has default values. You can specify minimum dates, maximum dates, tooltips, whatever you like. And we have color inputs, where people can choose their color. We have range inputs, which also have a minimum and maximum and provide a nice slider to select data for the user. We have email fields. It's mostly just a basic text field, but it's optimized for mobile. Android, iOS, so smartphones detect that field type and offer the user help for inserting emails here. The same goes for the URL, which contains addresses and other stuff. And then we have also spacers. Spacers can either be used to divide content. It's mostly just like an HR element. And if you want text on it, you can just add a spacer with text. And you can even use HTML in here. As any other element, you can set the page, you can set the size, and you can add an additional CSS classes, CSS styles, and many other things. And last but not least, we have advanced form fields. Currently only the Google reCAPTCHA. For the Google reCAPTCHA, we have some additional params you have to set. First, the language of the reCAPTCHA, then the reCAPTCHA public key and the reCAPTCHA private key. The reCAPTCHA public key and private key can be obtained on the reCAPTCHA page, and it enables you to have a spam protection on your forms. Let's take a look at the form in the front end. For that, we just save and close the form, create a new manual entry for it. Let's select CForms, form, select our newly created form, responsive multi-page form. Let's give it a nice title, and let's have a confirmation page in our example. Let's save the form and take a look at the front end. As you can see, we have now the number of fields here. Like the new field we set there with the default value, the text area, the select element, the checkboxes, the password. Let's go to the next page. We have a number field, and as you can see, the browser provides now a field with possible numbers and nice control on the right. We have a date field. Depending on the browser, you can just adjust the value by selecting it here. We have a color picker. I have to bring it in, where you can choose between colors like blue, green, cyan, and so on. We have a range field where the user can just slide their value. We have an email field, and we have a URL field. And as you can see, as long as I didn't input a valid URL, this validation fails. We have our header element, our spacer with text, and we have a confirmation field, form. And we have also validation in it.